Now we're recording. Okay. Hello, everyone. We're going to try this again. This is the Goal Getters Zoom talking about how to keep yourself organized as a business coach. Because coming in, when you're coaching clients and you just have clients to keep track of, hopefully you're using your Optavia binder and it's somewhat straightforward. But once you start adding coaches to your team, it gets a little more all over the place. How do you keep your clients straight apart from your coaches? And your coaches are your clients also. And then as you start helping your coaches grow and you're doing health assessments with them, how do you keep all of that stuff straight and physically and in your head? And this is something, I'll be honest, I struggled with it for a while. How do I keep all this stuff straight and not all mixed up? So the first thing that I do, and I know others on this line do, is I have my Optavia binder for my clients, but I have a separate binder just for my coaches. All of my coach material goes in here. This binder goes everywhere with me. When I'm traveling, I may not take my entire client binder because I don't need everything about all my clients when I'm traveling. But my coaches, this is sort of my gold. What do I keep in this binder? So first thing when I open my binder is my map. My current map is the front because that is my business plan, what I'm doing as a coach, right? So my map is the front of my binder. Behind that, I have the clear divider things. They can hold papers, and each one of my coaches has a clear divider. And every month when they submit their map to me, their map goes into their divider, okay? So I usually keep definitely 2, if not 3 months worth of maps for my coaches because I like to be able to, when I'm working with my coaches, to be able to look back and see where they've been. After that amount of time, it's old news and I don't keep them anymore. I also keep in their dividers, if I do a Coach Explore call with them, any notes that I take on a Coach Explore call go in that folder with them. If the person becomes a coach, then I add some notes until that person grows strong enough that they need their own map. Once they have their own map, they then get their own clear slot. Yeah, Jackie, you can unmute. Ask. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Now I can, yep.
Are you talking about only frontline volume coaches?
So it depends. So no. So for instance, my father has coaches underneath him, right? So I have in his folder, I have any notes from them. Once they're strong enough, once they become a coach that does a map, they get their own. I separate them and give them their own clear thing, right? Because as a part of their support team, I'm still getting their map. So I separate them out I keep them next to each other. So his coaches, they're stacked together, but they get their own once they're doing their own Coach Explores, once they're growing big enough past senior that they're doing a map. That's personally how
far down do you plan to go with that?
I don't know. I mean, as far as I'm actually coaching with them. So generally, I'm not going to get for instance, my father hit the coaches that are underneath him. When they bring in coaches, I'm not going to be their support team anymore, right? So I probably won't go much further than that. Now, if somebody brings me in because there's a generation skip, then they're going to go then they're going to get a spot.
Right. Okay.
Right. So now if somebody underneath my father has one of his coaches bring somebody in and I'm part of that, it might go in their slot. Does that make sense? Sort of. Yes. I mean, and I'm playing with all this. As I'm growing, this is for sure going to change. But this is how it's working for me. In my binder, I also always have blank health assessments stuck in the front. I always have blank maps because if I'm meeting with a coach, I was meeting with a coach the other day, right at the end of the month, or right at the beginning of the month on Friday, June 1st. And I said, have you done your map yet? And they said, no. And I just whipped one out and said, here's a map. Let's do it. Right. So I always have those in front of me so that if I'm meeting with somebody, whatever, I have blank maps on me. I have copies of the Coach Explore call inside of there. I have the new client checklist in there. I have all the things that in there, each one in its own little slot so I can pull it out easily. And if I'm traveling someplace, I just have it all with me. That's how I keep my binder organized. Does anybody else use a binder for keeping their coaches stuff? Alana, how do you do yours?
All right. Similar thing. Like I have a binder and I have each coach, like you have, each coach is in its own like clear thing. Like, how should I say? like they're all by color, I guess. So here's like one coach, it's a blue. And then the health assessments that I do together with them, I have the ones that I'm leading, like the first 3, I guess. So I have those written down with notes. And then I make sure that the coach has, the same one. Like if she didn't write notes, I go over it with her and make sure she has them. But I still have them on here, like the first 3. But then when the coach leaves them, I no longer have the health assessment. So I guess each coach has a different color. And then the health assessments for that coach are in the front pocket. So that's what I have in here. And then I have also maps and health assessments and things like that in the front. So yeah, that's basically it.
Cool.
But I'm going to run out of colors, so I'm going to have it.
That happens.
Leslie,
We'll have to start double out. Yeah, Javi.
do you take notes on the health assessments when you do them with your new coaches and keep those also?
So I personally, I do take notes because I take notes on any call that I'm on because that keeps me listening better. But I do not, after that health assessment is over with my coaches, I don't keep those notes. I talk to my coach about them and go through it and make sure that they have the information, but I don't hold on to that because I would have a stack of health assessments way too thick and way too big. And so those I get rid of. My feeling is my coaches, it's their responsibility to keep track of the information on their clients. And when I'm getting ready to get on a celebration call or a troubleshooting call or whatever, that they're going to recap me on it. Because if I try to remember everything about everybody's clients, it's not going to happen. So, and I don't want to have to keep that. Melinda, do you also keep a binder?
So I have a binder that I actually did not have a binder or even use the Optavia binder, fully admitting it, recorded, until after Go Global, when I realized that the only way to take my business seriously would be to treat my business like a business. So I started really taking my binder seriously. I was also using Evernote and doing everything, online, and realized that even though I prefer to do everything with typing versus writing, that if there's a system that works, and it's working for people, I'm using it. And that's it. So that's what I came home from Go Global with. So I came home and I started with the binder and realized very quickly that there was no way to keep all of my coach information in that binder. It wouldn't fit. So I happened to have for my kid a binder just sitting around the house, which is why I had to write coach binder with tape on it. It had some whatever Nora information. I do not, and I'm planning to start after this call, actually, keeping a separate folder for each of my coaches, because that's something that I don't do, but that I clearly should do. And not just because you're saying it, but because it makes perfect sense. But what mine had until now was my structural tension chart, which is actually right at the beginning, currently not filled out because I wanted to do it again. I like to print out some different tips and conversations. I know that Rosanna, you had said that you keep certain things printed out because you want to be able to just look over to them and say, here's what I have to respond to that person. So I have at the beginning a few different things like 3-way conversation tips where I can just open it up in the binder and it's there. And, I don't always want to have to open my phone to get to those things. I have right now a coach explore section. Like I have them, they're really sectioned off. And again, I'm going to change it around now that I'm going to have, each person's going to have their own section. But I have a meet and greet where I can keep notes on new coaches, my coaches' new coaches. Because to me, I love to be able to go back to that information, why they became a coach, because we're going to have so many calls in the future. And I always want to be able to go back to why they became a coach, the same way that I would do for my own coaches. So I keep the meet and greet information in there. I have the senior coach celebration section, which mine's a little bit not used at the moment, but I hope it'll be very used soon. And I also have a section for map. So again, that's how mine is organized now. I plan to keep a little bit of that in place, but I really love the idea of each person having their map with their folder and being able to just keep all that. So I can open it up to that one person and have all their information there. Hopefully, I don't know, how big are your binders? I'm curious. Leslie, yours look pretty small.
Yeah, mine's small for now. I mean, and as it grows.
Yeah, I was very curious because I have a thing, and this is like an organized thing. You guys can tell me if I'm crazy, but I like to not just put things in a folder, but have them by section, which means having hole puncher. And I know it's a crazy thing to struggle with.
That's why I like the clear things, because I just slide them in. So I don't have to.
I struggle with that. I'm like, I have to print out health assessments. And then I'm like, I have to hole punch 50 health assessments. I do it. But that's just a matter of, being.
One of the things, I don't want my coach binder to get too thick, which is part of the reason why I don't hold maps past. In my opinion, there's no need for me to hold my coach's maps past a month or two past. It doesn't matter. They're hopefully growing from there. If they're not and they're stagnant, I might hold it for a little bit longer. But if we're seeing growth, they should be holding their maps if they need their maps. But because I'm getting them at the beginning of the month. So any other notes or whatever are getting stuck in there that are pertinent to hold on to. But I don't want I want it to grow thicker because I'm getting a lot more coaches, but not because I'm holding too much information on each one of my coaches. Because again, I want them to be responsible for their business. I want them the information that I need to be able to assist them, and not for me to be running their business for them. That's sort of.
And Leslie, when you say that your binder goes everywhere with you, what do you mean? Like if you're going out running errands, it goes.
No, it's not with me if I'm going out running errands. But anytime, if we travel,
right.
It's going to go, like anytime that I'm going to be away, that I'm going to possibly be doing any kind of business work, it's going to go with me. And it's going to go with me before my client binder will. My client binder, if I don't have my client binder, I can talk to clients and, usually be fine without their papers in front of me. But my coach's stuff, I want to be able to open up and look at their map or look at what I need in front of them. And I have the stuff in there. If we're out of town and I need to do a health assessment, I have blank health assessments printed in there and stuck in there. So it's everything that I need sort of to help my coaches and to be a coach, to start something. Does anybody else have a binder or a system that they're using currently? Yeah, Javi?
Just a quick question. Do you keep blank health assessments in your client binder also? Yeah. Okay, fine. Because I thought that was interesting that they're in your coach binder.
I keep, because everything that I need as a coach goes into this coach binder. So that but yes, I have them in both places.
Okay.
That's it. Shelly, were you going to ask something, say something?
Yeah, I mean, my one senior coach is still, in weight loss. So they're totally a client and a coach, obviously. So I guess my question is, do you keep them in the client binder, or do you have them in both, or do you just move them to the coach binder?
I keep them in both. Because I try that my client, even when they become a client, even when they become a coach, they're still a client. They're still on their healthy journey. And so those two things, I like to try to give them that time as the client if they need client time, and I like to give them coach time. So I try to keep those separate. It definitely, mushes together some, but I do keep them separate in their separate spots. Their client, all that's in their coach binder is the things that pertain to them as a coach. Just again, to keep it neat and where they are in that. Does anybody else have any other things? So I had some other things that I was going to talk about. Does anybody have anything else with a binder? Okay. One of the things that I've struggled with, that I've sort of started figuring out, is organizing my calendar. And how to really organize a calendar of how do you juggle coach time, client time, this time, that time. And I will fully be honest that I'm still struggling figuring this out. The way I currently have it is that I use Calendly, where my coaches can go in and can pick a time, whether they're picking a health assessment time, whether they're picking a coach explore time, whatever it is, they can go and they can reserve times on my calendar. And all of my times that are open for everything are open across the board. One of the things that I've sort of been tossing around the idea of is having specific times blocked off that are just going to be times that I'm doing health assessments for coaches, just going to be times that I'm doing client calls, certain things like that. I can play the pros and cons with doing that. Sorry. And I've talked through this with other coaches in other lines, and I'd love to hear from you guys how you keep those calendars set if you have specific times set. Right now, I just block off chunks of time. I have clients that have their reserved times that are just set rock solid in my calendar, and then others that don't. One of the ideas that was given to me that I really, really liked, and I'm strongly considering changing over to is that every week, this coach that does this, she sends out every week at the end of the week on Friday, she sends a text or an email or whatever to all of her clients and all of her one to coaches and one to clients, saying, here's the link to my calendar for next week. And she updates it every week. Pick your time to talk. So it's their responsibility to pick their time. Clients get 10 minutes, coaches get 30 minutes. And so each one has a different link. And I use Calendly, she uses bookme.com, so a similar kind of thing. And they go in, but she said to me, my calendar changes every week. She said, I don't necessarily want people rock solid in the same spot, because if I have something that comes up, then I'm canceling times. Their times change. They might have a doctor's appointment or something that comes up. And instead of canceling on me, they can pick a different time. If they like the time that works and it still works, they can pick their same time every week, which I really sort of liked this concept. The other thing that she also does, which I really, really liked, is she does not call her clients. She makes them call her at their allotted time. She puts the onus on them to make that phone call. And I don't know, personally, right now I'm calling my clients at their allotted time, except I've got a few that take it upon themselves to call it. But what she said to me is, she said, when you make a doctor's appointment, you show up at the doctor at the time that you're supposed to be there. They're not expecting the doctor to show up to you. And so it should be the same thing for the client. So I really liked that. But I'd love to throw that out to you guys and hear what you have to say about how you keep your calendars and what your thoughts are on that.
I love that idea, Leslie. I'm just worried because I'm a very punctual person. So I'm just worried if I did that, then, 9 o'clock would become, let's call her at 9:05 or 9:10.
What she said, I asked her about this, and what she said is her clients know they have 10-minute slots. So if they're late, at the end of their 10 minutes, she says, I have another call. And she said, they're not late many times because they know that she sticks to her 10-minute time slots. And they're picking, she said, even if somebody isn't booked right after them, when their time is up, she'll say, time's up. I've got another call that's getting ready to come in. If you need more time with me, you can book another time in another slot in my schedule this week. You have my thing. She said, they can book as many slots as they want, but they're in 10-minute slots, which I really liked. And she said her clients don't go over, and her clients really honor that. And with that, she's a very organized way of what happens in a client call so that they don't continue to stretch on and go.
Well, that's ideal if you can do it. And if you've got clients that'll get disciplined to stick with it.
But it's where you're disciplined to have them disciplined. It's where you say, starting the call, I have another call in 10 minutes. Right? You start it with that. As I have a call, these are 10, this is a 10-minute appointment. If somebody says I'm going to need more than 10 minutes, then book 2 appointments. They can do that if they want. But it also narrows down, we're not supposed to be their therapists, right? So there are certain things that we should be talking about with them, and we can keep it to that condensed. Otherwise, our client calls can get crazy.
I have a lot of thoughts on this.
Yeah, go.
So, hearing Amber talk about at Go Global about having very specific, was it Amber? I know that Charlene also said the same thing. She has one day during the day that she does meetings and one evening every week that she does meetings, so that anyone who can't do during the day has the option for evenings. And those are her 2 days, or not even full days, right? It's one day during the day, one evening. Those are your time slots. That's when you're available. And I'm curious, I know with Calendly, unless I booked off everything in my Calendly for the week, except for those specific times, people would be able to go in and book me any day of the week.
No, they can't.
You can offer Tuesdays?
You can say Tuesday, I'm available in Calendly. You can offer Tuesday, I'm open from 7 to 9 p.m. And so that's all they're going to see available. It doesn't matter what's on the rest of your calendar.
Okay. That was my one fear. I was like, I would only want to offer a very specific day or 2 days or whatever we choose to do for ourselves, because I want to know that I have, if I have that, we work for ourselves. I can run errands. I can go do other things. And I don't want to be stuck because one person booked here, one person booked there, and there's not enough time for me.
I'll show you.
Yeah, I'd love to see this.
Hold on.
Do you pay for your Calendly, Leslie?
I do, but you don't have. You can definitely use the.
You can only do specific amounts of time if you don't pay. Like I can't do 15 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 30 minutes there.
Yes, you can. You can still do blocks because Karen, we just signed Karen's up today, and I helped her today, and you could do it. Yeah, hold on. So I'm going to show you. Hold on.
Me, because I don't know how to do it.
I'm going to share my screen really quickly.
There were 3 different time blocks that you could choose from. And so I made mine 10 minutes, 30 minutes, and 60 minutes, but you could change those time slots.
What you doing with those 60-minute slots?
Those I was going to say for health assessments. So I'm just starting to play with it, but so
60 minutes.
I won't go 60 minutes, but sometimes
you can change it to 45 minutes if she
you
wants.
could change it to 45 minutes. Right. Exactly.
So here's my Calendly for this week. I only have this week open. So right now I only open a week at a time because I don't know what my week's going to be like next week. Right. So the grayed out are not open. So this week, Monday, I had 8 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. open and 7 p.m. to 9:30. And this is just tomorrow I have 9 a.m. to 2 and 8:30 to 10. Wednesday, I'm totally blocked off. I have nothing available, right? On Calendly. I do have times open, but we're traveling and I don't know what I'm going to be doing. So I have that totally blocked off. Thursday, 12, and I'm in 12 to 9. We're traveling, so I know I'll be in the car. I can take calls. Normally, I wouldn't do that. Normally, but I can break these up however I want. So if I wanted to change Thursday, if I wanted to make this, I could make this 12 to 2 p.m. And then I could add a new interval of 4 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Apply to June. And see, it shows there. So that's all it's going to show when somebody goes into my calendar. Hold on, I'll show you. Hold on, save and close. View live page. So see, it's not showing. Now it's showing things closed off because the hours that I left open are already really booked up. But it's only showing the days, times that I have things open. So Tuesday, it shows what I have open. So then that's all that's going to show on my calendar. So I can change those. I change those around. That's why I love Calendly, because I can change those around every week. I don't have to necessarily have something booked for real on my calendar, but I can block that space out. And then, so generally I've started leaving where Thursday nights, I close off Thursday nights, not because I'm not available, but because that's my one evening that I don't have other things going on. But if somebody messages me or calls me and says, I really need X, Y, and Z time, I can then choose to put them in on that evening or not put them in on that evening if I want to keep that evening open. Because otherwise my evenings used to be totally back to back. So I personally love that. It's just I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to juggle that, whether I'm going to start having people have specific times, whether I'm going to do all coach training calls one day a week, which I know a lot of coaches have started doing, that they do. All of their coaches, they do their trainings on Mondays with their Tuesday, whatever it is, it's just a coach day, and they don't do client calls on those days. I've pretty much condensed my client calls to Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and then I have sporadically a few here and there in other places. And that's worked really well for me because I just know that those are my buckle down client days. How do you guys juggle your clients, getting your clients in? Are they just sporadic? Yeah, Jackie?
Well, I have them spread out throughout the week. I don't like calling a million people one day. I would actually dread it. So I do small, I do a few every day. I generally have everyone call me, the clients who I know who are like new or they tend to cancel out in the morning. I'll text them just confirming we're on for so-and-so today, but they call me at their allotted time. And they know it's also like 15 minutes. I usually set off every call, that they know that every 15 minutes I have a call. I have the same Calendly. Like I have my same schedule always, but then if I have something personal that I'm taking off with, like I just block off my own calendar myself. I'll just put it in personal or doctor's appointment or this. So then once I book something on my own calendar, like it's linked to my personal calendar. So if I put something on my personal calendar, like a kid's doctor appointment, then it comes off of my Calendly. So I don't have to always edit my Calendly. My Calendly is the same all the time. But once I put something on my personal calendar, it's automatically taken off.
Yeah, and that's how I used to do it. But I've started blocking the times because sometimes it may not be something on my calendar. I may not want to have to add it to my calendar, that I'm going to go grocery shopping. I just block off those. I just move it around and block off those times. My times stay the same most weeks. I don't usually do a whole lot of changing around, but like I said, this week, Thursday, I know we're going to be in the car most of the day. So I can open up a whole lot of space for people to book things because I'm going to be sitting in the car. So why not? Where that normally wouldn't be open. So that's where I've started moving stuff around. Or if I forget to stick something on my calendar or something comes up, or if I want to be able to throw something in last minute for my kids, I know that there are time slots that aren't going to get reserved.
I also make sure that nobody could book an appointment on my calendar within 4 hours. So, like, I don't want to be out in the supermarket and somebody just books a call with me. Like, that can't happen. So that's a good tip if however you're setting up your calendar.
Right. That's a great tip. Rosanna, do you have something to say? Raising your finger. I thought you were like starting to say something.
No, I was just writing it down because I thought that's exactly what I was thinking to myself. I'll be out doing something and somebody will book something and I'll have to be like on a call in the car or something, and that's not going to work with me.
The other thing that I have started doing that I got from Miriam Stobetsky that I love is she created a form that I created a similar one to send out to all of her coaches before she gets on a coach call with them. And I've started doing that, having them fill it out. And before getting on calls with coaches, do I have their map in hand and have they filled out this form? And I've found that the coaches that I've started doing this with, it's been really, really useful because it's making them think through so that they're not wasting their time and they're not wasting my time when they're getting on a call, which I've really, really liked. And I can pull that up too. I know Miriam's and mine are pretty similar. I'm still tweaking mine a little bit. I'll pull it up. And I just did it through a Google form, so it comes through to me. And I've started telling coaches that when I've given it to them, if you don't have it filled out, then we can't talk because this gives us a framework for the calls. Hold on, I'll share with you what this form looks like. Oops, that was not the right one. Wrong form. Here we go. So hold on. My Zoom go. I lost my Zoom, sorry. Maybe I'll share my screen.
I have a question.
Yep, ask.
Sometimes you'll tell me to put it on your Google Calendar, and how does that tie into your calendar?
Calendly and Google are linked. So my Calendly reads from my Google. So if I don't have that spot open on my Calendly, but I know that I have it, that I really have it open, I'll ask you to throw it on my Google Calendar, just so that I don't have to go into Calendly and open it up. But they're tied together. So whatever goes onto my Google Calendar. So if I put a doctor's appointment down, and that spot was open in Calendly, it's going to remove it. It reads from both of them. Hold on. Sorry, that was not, where'd that go? There it is. Okay, so this is the form so I have them put in their name, the date of their call, who did they start their new conversations with, who did they get on three-way calls with, if they're a business coach, which of your coaches got you on three-way calls, did you have the level of activity that you want, and what 3 topics do you want to discuss? So that when they're coming into the call, we have a plan of action, and it's not just sitting there saying, okay, what now? So I've really just started using this, but the few people that I've used it with so far, it's gone really well, and it's helped keep the calls organized so that if I have that before I get onto a call with somebody, I know what their goals are. I really want to know what my coach's goals are so that I can help them. If they're struggling with, something over here, and in my head, we need to talk about this, I want to talk about what they're struggling with. But if I don't know that ahead of time, then my head's already going to be over here as to what I think we need to talk about. But this lets me think through how I can help them ahead of time. So I found that to be really helpful, and it's something that I'm going to start using a lot more of as I, and I'm tweaking it a little bit. I've tweaked the questions a little bit as I've used it, as I've seen. And I also print that. I know Miriam, hers, she just keeps it in the Google spreadsheet. I print that when it comes in, and so that goes into with my client's thing, so that I can refer back if they had a question. If they're struggling with something, and then 2 weeks later they're still struggling with the same thing, I can see that pattern, and I don't have to remember that. And I take notes on our call on my printout of that, and I have found that to be helpful. The one, and we're going to wrap this up because this is going too long, so I apologize. But the couple of other things that I wanted to talk about was, first of all, does everybody here have maps from their coaches that are senior coach and above? Does everybody here know what your coach's goals are? Clearly know what your coach's goals are. And do you know what your coaches need from you? Those to me, I think, are key questions that I like to try to focus on and keeping my coaches organized and keeping myself organized with how I can help them. So does anybody else have anything else to say as we wrap up? Because we went too long, and I apologize. Was this helpful? Okay.
Leslie, this was great. Really, really helpful.
Okay, good.
Nothing bad to say here. Nothing to add. I mean, so much new information. So thank you.
Well, and I want to keep this dialogue open because it's, for me at least, it's a growing process. Like I'm constantly talking to other coaches and other lines about how to keep their stuff organized and how to keep my stuff organized, because I had another coach who I met at the FIBC trip who messaged me tonight, and she really wants to hit global, and she's like, how do you juggle it all? And so we were going back and forth. How do we juggle it all? How do you know how? And it's a common theme, I think, across coaches from everyone. And so really keeping this conversation open of how do you do it, and what are other people, what are each of us doing? Because I think everybody has good ideas, and learning from one another, I think, is important. So yeah, so good. Thank you guys for sharing what you guys are doing, because you gave me some new ideas of things to do. I like, Melinda, I really like adding the three-way call stuff to your binder. So I'm going to add some of that stuff into mine. So cool. Thank you guys. And on that note, I'm going to end the recording.